inducted by Paul Smith Benson, Major, United States Air Force, retired. Please come up. Thank you. Everyone stand.
Let us bow our heads. Eternal God, we just want to take this opportunity to just say thank you. We thank you for a day that we have not seen before. We are so grateful for the men and women who have served our country, past, present, and those that will serve in future. We're grateful for their courage, their sacrifice. Some gave the ultimate sacrifice, and we are grateful. We ask that you would be with us throughout this meeting. Allow us to come together, to collaborate, to conversate as we move forward as a city to make sure that our veterans are cared for and that we receive all the benefits and entitlements that we have. We thank you for this commission. We thank you for this council. We thank you for all those that are present. Be with us as we have our meeting today, and we're so thankful. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. And folks, if you remain standing, Commissioner Dugan has something he would like to add.
If you're following the news, you know we've lost some military personnel recently, so I'm asking for a moment of silence, specifically for a young soldier from the 173rd who was killed in Afghanistan, Gabriel Condi. The Puerto Rican National Guard, the C-130 that went down, lost 9 service members: Major Jose Roman, Lieutenant David Albendaz, Major Carlos Sena, Senior Master Sergeant Jan Pavincia, Master Sergeant Jean Adrofred, Master Sergeant Mario Brana, Master Sergeant Eric Serkins, Master Sergeant Victor Colon, Senior Airman Roberto Espada. There were also 16 other military personnel who've been lost in the last month and a half due to aircraft crashes. So a moment of silence for those who wear the uniform and have lost their life recently. Thank you.
All right, please be seated. Oh, I'm sorry. One more item. We got to do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now, well, I'd like to welcome everyone. We're finally having this meeting. It's a rescheduled. Now it's a makeup, yeah. And we had to double check to make sure it wasn't snowing today. I don't think there's a chance of that. We'll get started as we normally do. We'd like the commissioners to introduce themselves and give a brief bio of their military background. My name's George Ginder. I'm a combat wounded United States Army retiree. I had 25 years in the Army. Retired as a first sergeant. Since my retirement, I've been active in Veterans Affairs. Most recently with the commission here. Thank you. If we could start to my left, Judge.
Yeah, I'm Judge Pat Dugan. I'm a judge here in Municipal Court, Criminal Division. I'm retired Army. I was active duty in the 80s with the 82nd Airborne, was an infantryman, was stationed at Bragg, Panama, and the DMZ. Used my veterans benefits, college, law school. Post 9/11, I went back in the Army Reserves. I deployed as an enlisted to Mosul in Iraq with civil affairs, then was commissioned, became a JAG officer. I went to Afghanistan. And I retired with 23 years total, and I also run Veterans Court here.
Good afternoon. My name is Joe Melendez, Vietnam veteran, Army. I retired from the City of Philadelphia after 40 years of service. I retired as a Chief Inspector. I am very active with this commission, with the Medical Center, Michael Christen's Medical Center. I'm also with the clinic over at Saraceni, which is in Horsham. And I'm happy to report today that the VA, especially the Medical Center, has announced that they're looking to open up a clinic, an outpatient clinic. They say Northeast Philadelphia, but trust me, it's not Northeast Philadelphia. It's really going to be like Levittown, Ben Salem, out that area. It's underserved, that community out there, so we're working very hard to get something open out there. It'll be easier for veterans. So we are working on that. We're working on a lot of different issues that affect veterans and how we can make life easier for the veterans, especially those who need our assistance. And I thank you for being here today. Thank you.
Go ahead, Carl.
Hey, good afternoon, folks. My name is Carlo Aragoncillo. I'm the director of the Veterans Advisory Commission here at City Hall. I've served going on 7 years now in the Army. I'm currently in the Army Reserve as a company commander. I just reached the rank of captain. And our job here, working with the rest of the commissioners, I'm doing the day-to-day type operations. And we'll get into that in a little bit later, but I'm still currently serving in the Army.
Good afternoon. My name is Aranda Smith Benson. Army veteran. I served 3 years in the Army. 5 months of that was as a combat veteran deployed in Desert Storm. I'm also the founder of the Women's Veterans Command Center here in South Philadelphia. Also founded another local Women's Veterans Center as well. I also provide, I'm also a life coach and career coach, and I have a contract that I work with veterans as well. And currently I'm in graduate school at University of Pennsylvania. I'm completing a graduate degree in organization dynamics, serving a lot of boards, committees, you name it, for veterans. Been doing this probably for the last 6 or 7 years or so.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Tony Boyle. I'm a cop with Philadelphia, and I'm also a retired Air Force veteran. Did 35 years with the Air Force, about 10 of it active, between active duty and activations and things like that. The rest was reserve. Last 28 years of that was down at Dover Air Force Base as a C-5 flight engineer. Two things recently that have occurred. On the 21st, we had the Gathering of Heroes at the Irish Pub that was successful. We were fortunate to have 3 Medal of Honor recipients come into Philadelphia, and over the course of the next month, 2 of them are going to be back in Philadelphia for different events. And today there's an ongoing event, starts on May 1st, runs through Memorial Day. It's called Carry the Load. It's a great charity that focuses on veterans and police, fire, and first responders. They walk, they have 2 routes. They walk from West Point to Dallas, Texas, and from Seattle to Dallas, Texas. They were through Philadelphia this morning. They arrived about 1 a.m. I was fortunate to do about 15 miles with them, and they're on their way now down to Dallas. But it's a great event. They support a number of veterans charities, and so I'm happy to get the word out for them to carry the load. It was started by 2 Navy SEALs, and it's a great group.
When did you do the 15 months?
This morning. We started at 1 a.m. So.
Okay. As you can see, we have a well-rounded, active commission here, and we're kind of proud of that. Today we have several people making testimony. The first who will be Carlo here. I've asked Carlo to explain to us or give us a briefing on the office downstairs and how it's functioning and what they're doing, so that we have an idea, and you would have an idea what they do day to day. Carlo, please.
Hey, thank you, George. So actually, before I jump into that, I just wanted to also state, as part of my bio, just came back from overseas. I'd say just came back from a downrange, served over in Iraq, Al-Assad. We set up comms over there and support a lot of units, including Marines, Air Force, and other international organizations as well. My background, I have a bachelor's in forensic psychology, also a master's in criminal justice with a focus in policy analysis. And, it's a pleasure being here, and just a little bit about myself. Now about the office. I've been in office about 5.5, going on 6 months, and I'm understanding the day-to-day and also trying to help plan for future long-term thinking. And in working with City Council and with their support, we came up with 4 lines of effort. And I can formalize these. We can push this out online, send it out via email, et cetera. But the 4 focuses that we have are processing claims. We have Wanda Pate, who's our veteran service officer down there, helping out with the day-to-day type operations, and as well as Joyce McEwen, our benefits coordinator. So between them and myself, we process claims, also connect any veterans with any benefits they may qualify for, such as real estate tax exemption, things of that nature, pensions, et cetera. The second part we also do is outreach, and just like Mr. Boyle here said, carry the load. I was well aware of the organization. I've been part of that, when it comes through Philadelphia, just not this year, so don't gig me on that. Don't. But, outreach, different nonprofit organizations, for-profit organizations, Chapel for Chaplains, Christine Beatty is here, also working with other governmental organizations, Anthony Murphy, and also a few other folks. Building out strategic partnerships as well, as we set the tone and get ready for the next phase as we build out and rebuild the office. Third, we also, I found out our office is actually charged with pushing and funneling legislation on behalf of veterans to the council members and city council. It's something that's new for me. I've done that before in my studies, but not hands-on, and I'm looking to leverage a lot of the subject matter experts available to us throughout the city and the other resources available to us. And that's kind of where my policy analysis background comes into play. And lastly, and actually really important, also celebrating the veterans. That's one thing that we're so focused on, the day-to-day things. Not that it's not important, but with memorials and ceremonies and things of that nature, it's something we also want to highlight, especially with the upcoming parade and a few other events we have lined up in the coming months. With operations, kind of where we are, we're standardizing a lot of things, coming up with SOPs, bylaws, coming up with employee handbooks, et cetera. Again, it's only a small staff, so we're trying to leverage a lot of volunteers, interns, and fellows through the different organizations available. One thing I'm also trying to institute as well, and I have one of the gentlemen here, Lonnie Stanley, he's helped us out in partnership with the digital media director to kick off the new website coming out, phlveterans.com. One thing I'm trying to do is gain feedback from the community. Again, success is not achieved alone. It's together with everyone in the community. One of the things I'm asking is if you're able to provide any feedback, good, bad, and different, the new email that will be instituted is info@phlveterans.com. It's live now. We're checking the emails, and we're waiting on whatever feedback you have. Like I said, good, bad, and different. The organizational structure, I know George explained the commissioners. We have 9 of them. Not all of them are present here, but we're also trying to leverage any remote staff. So right now, we're looking at exploring grants and setting up a finance team. I have one fellow allotted to me right now. With the grant specifically, it's something that's not been explored before, and we're trying to set that up so that we can get some sort of funding for kicking off special projects. Anything that we can do to bolster up the support throughout the organization. We have a communications team as well. A lot of them right now are dealing mostly with social media and also trying to go the traditional route, newspapers, press, et cetera. So I have 2 of them working remotely with me, always available and very good to work with. And then the last 2, which are the gaps we're trying to bridge, are in legislation policy, which I had mentioned, and also special projects. That'll come in time. Again, it's not going to happen overnight, but this is part of the vision that I'm trying to set with the office. I'm not going to get into special projects, mostly because I don't like talking about things I want to do if they haven't happened yet. It just doesn't bode well, and it's a lot of long term, so you might not see some of this until later on. But one thing I do want to note, and I'll have Lonnie Stanley actually speak on that. Once we kick off the website, one of the systems we're integrating into it is the grave registry. I know it's been in existence for some time. Everything is indexed and ready to go. Right now it's very manual, but with the help of council support and Lonnie and his team, that'll be automated and searchable. So everything's going to be indexed. But that's coming shortly. Like I said, we have to leverage the available resources. So if anyone's out there and you have any interns, volunteers, or fellows you want to throw my way, we'll definitely go through the vetting process, interview them, make sure they're a good fit for the organization. Lastly, I just want to highlight some key events that we had go on since our last meeting. I know the last quarterly meeting was in, I think, December. And I know it was a rough winter, so we got snowed out a few times, had to reschedule this meeting, and thank you for attending. January 25th, we had a Tuskegee Airman, World War II Tuskegee Airman, Major Harrison. Got to meet his daughter and the rest of the family that lives in the area. Myself, George Ginder, and a few other people went down to Arlington National Cemetery. It was a beautiful ceremony. Never been there myself for a ceremony like that, but it's been well documented, and we have that kind of information we can push out also on the website. The Vietnam Veterans Memorial Ceremony, that was well attended as well, down there right on Columbus. And also thanks to Judge Dugan letting me know about the PA GWAT Memorial fundraiser, the beef and beer that we had on the end of the month. That was a big event, very successful. But we got to get the word out there. And Judge, what's the website? Was it pagwatmemorial.org?
Yeah, if you just Google PA GWAT, that's Global War on Terrorism, PA GWAT Memorial, you'll get to the site.
All right, thank you. They're still raising funds, and the intent is to stand up a memorial down there next to the Korean War Memorial and the Vietnam Veterans Memorial in Philadelphia, South Philadelphia. Also through the Veteran Multi-Service Center, in coordination with the Women's Veterans Center and Independence Blue Cross Foundation, they had the I Am Not Invisible portrait exhibit highlighting women's veterans throughout the city of Philadelphia. USO grand reopening happened earlier last month in April. Terminal E, if you get a chance, please visit it. It is an awesome location. And also with George kind of covering down, they had the monthly Washington Crossing National Cemetery ceremony at the end of every month. I think it's on last Thursday of the month. They do that for any of the unclaimed veterans. I do want to note, and I'm not going to go on here, the next big event that we have is on May 9th. It's Wednesday next week. That's happening from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Please come. If you're a veteran, if you're a supporter of a veteran, if your family, friends, doesn't matter. We want you to show up. It's going to be over at the MSB Municipal Service Building, right across the street from City Hall. We're going to have entertainment, some giveaways, food, things of that nature, and a lot of vendors, about 50 plus. So please, if you can attend, we'd love to see you out there. Penny, any questions? That's all I got.
Commissioners, any questions?
All right, thank you, George.
Thank you. As Carlo mentioned, Lonnie Stanley has been helping him with a program in the office, and I've asked Lonnie to come in and explain to us what this program consists of. It's a tracking system. It's a high-tech tracking system that's above my pay grade. So Lonnie, will you please come up and to the desk there? If you would turn the speaker on and tell us who you are and the organization that you're with.
Hello? Great.
We can hear you.
All right, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity, Commissioners. My name is Lonnie Stanley. I'm with the Kimmel Group. We provide IT services here in the Philadelphia area, and specifically, we do all IT support for City Council, and we've been doing it since 1999. So anything related with technology here in this building, we handle. As part of that, we also support the Veterans Office. So what we're working on right now is an application that will allow us to digitize all the grave registry cards. Right now there are over 8,000 cards that date back to entries from the Spanish-American War. So if you can imagine, these cards are pretty old. Physically, I think the cards maybe date back to the 50s, but the information on them go back to the Spanish-American War. So what we're trying to do is digitize them into a system whereby someone can search ultimately from the website, phlveterans.com. I have to put that plug in, excuse me. Well, they'll be able to search by either the person's name as well as the, I believe, the death or burial date, and also the cemetery, and then they'll be able to pull up the information. In addition, they'll be able to see the digitized version of the card. So much like if you were to use Ancestry.com and you pull up some information about your ancestors, and you can click and see the actual physical document, we're digitizing the document as well. Right now, it's a tedious process because every card actually is handwritten. And not only is it handwritten, it's handwritten by whoever came in to provide the information. So it's unlike if you had maybe 5 people working in the office and they were handwriting it. No, every single individual hand wrote this card, and the technology doesn't exist really to read everyone's handwriting. So it's a partial manual process right now. So again, the goal is to get that information in, and then also be able to show the actual digitized card. So if there's information missing from the database, you can view the information, print the card out for your own personal use at that point in time, so save in your archives or whatever. And then going forward again, as we get new information coming in and people presenting new cards for registry, we'll put that right into the system. So from this point moving forward, we can totally automate that process. But right now, we're playing catch up. Again, 8,000 cards. I think we're probably at about 1,000. And as Carlo mentioned, he's looking for volunteers. We need some folks with good eyes and good typing skills. So that's where we are with that. Would you like me to expand on the other, on the website? Okay, sure. My team also worked on the website. Just to give you some background, we actually redesigned phlcouncil.com's website a few years ago. So that same team is now working on phlveterans.com, and I believe it will be launched next week. We're very close. 3 things that I know we're trying to provide is basically a portal of information for any level of veteran in the Philadelphia area, and information at the city, state, and federal level. We also want to provide the opportunity for them to sign up for newsletters, so they can put their email address in and they'll be able to get newsletters on a frequent basis about any information that we want to share with them. And then also we'll have a calendar of events. This is one of the big things that it's basically providing that digital outreach for those who maybe can't come down to City Hall to get that information. You'll be able to go on the website and then get all that information, get access to all the services you're looking for. And again, it's just a digital outreach of what Carl and his team is doing right down there at, on the first floor of City Hall. So, and I think that's pretty exciting. We were able to brand the name. And when I say that, basically phlveterans.com, we were able to access that name. No one bought it, and no one was trying to auction it out to us, so we're very happy about that. And we have the email system already up and running. So again, info@phlcouncil.com, you're able to go ahead and send emails to that today. So, all right.
With this program up and running, I have a question. With this program up and running, and I know you're relying on volunteers, how many veterans have been loaded into the program?
I think the last count was on around 1,000.
Yes.
So, I mean, we started making, we have some traction, but 8,000 is still a large amount.
Right.
So,
right. Yes.
You said 8,000 or 1,000?
8,000 altogether, but we have 1,000 already input into the system.
Okay. Questions? Okay, Ronnie, thank you for your time.
Okay, great. Thank you for having me.
The next gentleman I'm going to introduce is the president of the Philadelphia Veterans Parade. His name is Anthony Murphy. Anthony, please come forward.
Is it on?
Yep.
Good afternoon, Anthony Murphy. Good afternoon, gentlemen. Philadelphia
Good afternoon.
Veterans Parade, Inc. Thanks, George. Just such a distinguished panel that I've had the opportunity to work with for many years.
Well, I've asked Anthony to come in today to tell us about the parade, where we're at with it, what's going on. I know it's going to be better than last year, as it was last year was better than the year before.
Yes, sir.
And we're improving on that.
Yeah, we're working on that. we're putting together a marketing strategy, which we hope to kick off in July, because we want to push the message out. The purpose of the parade and the festival is veterans helping veterans. We recognize that there's a veterans community that is connected, and there's a veterans community, a large veterans community that isn't. So we want to make sure that the festival hosts the type of VSOs to provide the type of services that those veterans need to be connected to. So the object is to push that message out early. We've started the website. We've already started getting applications in early. We have a strong committee that's supporting us. We have the support of Council President Darrell Clark and the City Council. We have the support of the office downstairs, since that's what they refer to it, as well as the two commissioners. See, for us, and when I say us, I'm talking about all of us, it's about the veterans. So we want to make sure that the parade this year is hopefully larger, and that the city of Philadelphia comes out more and actually line that parade route. So we learned some valuable lessons last year, as we did the year before, and each year you try to make it better. So the parade is moving forward, and at this point I'm very comfortable that we'll be able to have more participation this year than last year, because we did have some that dropped out, but this year we have a commitment from the American Legion Post and their state commander, I believe, who's a part of our committee. And we also hope to have representation from the Montford Marines, which is the first black Marine unit in the United States Army military.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I have a couple questions for you, Anthony. This is more for the folks, for that large audience that's viewing right now. When is the parade? What
Okay.
day?
The parade is November 4th. It's the first Sunday in November. We picked the first Sunday to be away from other veterans activities and to really make sure that we move November in the proper direction and making sure that we are highlighting veterans throughout that month. And it should start at 12, and the kickoff should be starting, the parade should start at 12.
And what's the website for those out there who are watching us?
The website for the Philadelphia Veterans Parade Board, Philadelphia Veterans Parade, and that'll take you to the website.
Okay. Applications, can they do it online or do they have to do it in person? How's that work?
Okay, the applications are online. Go to the website. It's PVP, Philadelphia Veterans Parade, and the applications are there. You can fill them out. I will be reviewing all the applications, making sure, that everything is what we need and how the parts are, and we've already put our application into the city, so we're moving forward.
And is it still Channel 6 that will be covering it?
On that, I'm not sure yet.
Oh, okay, that's fine. I thought we had it, sorry. But I just wanted to make sure that the folks that are out there
Right.
get that information, so. Gotcha.
Applications are being accepted now, right?
Yes.
And is there a fee? Do these people have to pay for their organization to march?
No, sir. There's no fee.
So it's free?
Yes, it's free.
Thank you.
And the festival is also free, although we do have vendors in the festival that are selling. We have our major sponsor, of course, has been Comcast, and they've been a major sponsor for the past 2 years, right? 2 years. So I'm looking for us to gain more sponsors this year, and that's why we're really trying to kick it in gear early. We're developing a separate team that will be providing information to yourself as well as to Channel 6 on any changes that are made in the staging area, because sometimes it happens and we can't control it. So we will make sure we address that.
Well, listen, I appreciate all the time and effort that you put into it, because while it happens at the parade and it's a few hours, it's a lot of time and energy that folks like you put into it. So do appreciate all the time and effort that you do put in for the Veteran Parade.
Right, veterans helping veterans. That's what we do.
Absolutely.
And Mr. Murphy, just I guess for the record, the first time since the parade has existed, the Eagles game will not conflict. Is that correct?
Won't be button head.
That's correct, but.
So we're expecting max participation, right?
Right, there won't be any reason folks should be sitting at home, but let me say, it's good that the Eagles aren't playing. I guess that's a good thing. But because it's for veterans, I don't really care if they're playing or not playing. I believe people are supposed to come out and support those of us who wrote the check, some of us who didn't have to cash it. See, so, I'm a staunch Eagle fan, but I'm out there every Sunday. I'm out there every time we do it. Whatever time it takes to get it done, we get it done. And I look at the men and women who march and those who ride, and we've had some distinguishing people every year. Some we knew about in advance, some we did not. But hopefully this year we get that type of information sooner so that we can also acknowledge folks that are there. So really looking forward to not just to Tuskegee Airmen, but also from the Montford Marines.
Mr. Murphy, could you tell us a little bit about what we can expect with the festival? What's involved with the festival, and
Okay.
who's going to be there?
First, the festival highlights VSOs, the Veteran Service Organizations. And the young lady that's going to speak before you from the Chapel of Four Chaplains is going to be coordinating that for us. The other parts of the festival is we try to have activities, we have entertainment, and we try to have some food service organizations. And we're looking at trying to add some other special things in for veterans, because the first year we did the festival, we had people who came and cut hair. So we're trying to have folks who will come and give veterans free haircuts. So we're trying to really round it out and put a lot of things in the festival to direct toward the veterans, but also to direct toward the Philadelphia community and the community at large, because you want the community at large, be it Delaware or New Jersey, to also come and support this parade. We want to make the Philadelphia Veterans Parade equal to none, and that means we want to make it better than New York.
As we said right from the beginning, we're not going to turn anybody down.
No, I don't expect to. Okay, anybody else? Thank you, sir. Oh,
Tony, again, I want to say thank you. I know, I'll go way back with you, and I know how hard you work at everything you do, and I know it's going to be very successful. Thank you.
oh, thank all of you, because it's, again, veterans helping veterans, so that's what we have to, and I would like for any of you who ever speak about, when you speak about the parade or speak about the festival, realize that the theme is veterans helping veterans. So you're going to see, last year we had billboards up that the City Council President's Office helped us put together. They had flyers. We're going to have flyers and posters and Instagram. We're going to do some things that I don't know anything about, but we're going to make social media work for us this year. All right.
Well, if there's no other questions for Tony, I'd like to thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your time.
My pleasure.
Our next speaker, her name was just mentioned, Christine Beatty. She's the executive director with the Chapel of Four Chaplains at the Navy Yard. She's going to tell us, hopefully she'll tell us about a symposium you have coming up, and maybe a little bit about your new title of assistant, VSO, what's the rest of it?
I'm the Jacqueline of all trades.
Oh, okay, we'll take that. Yeah.
So thank you all for allowing me to come in and speak today. It has been a whirlwind at the Chapel of Four Chaplains, so most of you know who I am. For those who do not, I am the executive director of the chapel at the Philly Navy Yard. The Chapel of Four Chaplains is based off of 4 Army chaplains who were aboard the USAT Dorchester in World War II. It was headed to Greenland to help with the war, and about 80 miles off the coast of Greenland was torpedoed by a German U-boat. 4 Army chaplains that were on the ship went up on the deck of the ship, helped give out all the life vests, and when the last life vest was given, they turned and in unison looked at each other and gave their 4 vests to the next 4 soldiers in line. They locked arms on the deck of the ship, prayed in their respective religions, and then perished with the ship. So out of 902 members aboard that ship, only 230 survived. So we represent those 902 members, but we have 5 bronze plaques that line the walls of the chapel that list the 672 who perished that night. So for our building, we are their cemetery, and those plaques represent their headstones. So it's very pertinent for us to remain open and to continue focusing on our veterans and the veterans helping veterans and being there for all the programs and all those who want to walk into the building and really just sit and reflect with their members and be available for any veteran or anybody who wishes to come into the building and really pray and learn all about the history of the organization. So we started in 1951. The sinking happened in 1942 off the coast of Greenland, mid-Atlantic, February 3rd. Sorry, just kind of had a blank out there. February 3rd, 1943, just after midnight. So icy waters, most of the men who entered the water did not last more than 12 to 15 minutes. So we represent all of their families. So just really quickly, the 4 programs for 4 chaplains of what we do every single day. One is our Legion of Honor Awards program, which recognizes ordinary people who do extraordinary things. Those going above and beyond their day-to-day jobs to give back and to continually make their communities and their country a better place to be. And we recognize that all throughout the United States, Luxembourg, France, and now Korea. So it is an international program. Our National Student Scholarship Competition just ended. We just selected the award winners on the 1st, and we have given out 12 awards of equaling of $5,000, and there are 4 in grades 5th through 8th, 4 in 9th through 11th, and 4 seniors. So it's a great opportunity. 4 of them are from the Pennsylvania area, and then we have multiple from around the country. So national competition, anyone in grades 5th through 12th can apply, including homeschooled students. For those students who are being homeschooled, they also qualify. Applications will come out in October, and they're due in March. The other part is our Emergency Chaplain Corps. So we have a group of emergency chaplains who work with us, and we are rebuilding that whole program. We did have a team at Ground Zero, so we're rebuilding on all of that and continuing to have those chaplains who are willing, ready, and able to deploy as needed. So we have a great group that's developing now, and right now we're working on a local entity, but it will eventually go national again. Then our largest piece is why we're here today, is our Veterans Outreach piece. And that is something that myself and Captain Lou Cavalieri, who's our chairman of the board, retired captain of the Navy, retired maritime community, and also very dedicated to the foundation, has started about 4 years ago. And that is recognizing and being available for any veteran that needs us. So we've developed multiple programs to help them out, and one of them is our Veterans Symposium. And that symposium, we held our first one last year, that focuses on the PTS, opiate addiction, alcohol, any type of homelessness, depression, suicide, because all of it, as we say, go hand in hand. So you come home from service and you're dealing with PTS, which then leads to potentially the opiates that are being given, and then that leads into your addictions and the potential depression and the suicide. And we want to address every single one of those aspects. And we have multiple people coming in to talk about it. So we'll have individuals that will talk about their situation, what they're dealing with. And then we'll have lunch, and then we will come back with all of the professionals that are going to be there to help them out. So we're putting A and B together. We're making sure that there's no stigma. We want to break that. We want you to talk about it. We want you to know that there's help there, and we want to address all of it. So I will be moderating, and the event will be Friday, May 11th, from 9:30 to 4:30. It is free. It is open to anyone who wishes to come. And one of the other pieces that we're adding to that is the family component this year. Because as all of you know in serving, when you serve, your families also serve. So we want the families to also know that we're here for them. It's not only the veteran that's dealing with all these issues, but also the individual family members. So we will be addressing them as well. So we're excited. It's something that we're growing upon. And then, of course, I have taken on the duty of the coordination of the VSOs for the Veterans Parade this year. So we're hoping to make sure that all of the services that we can provide for the veterans are there. They're there to introduce themselves to the veterans, know they're available and there. And we will have haircuts and hopefully some of the homeless shelters if anybody's homeless. But we want the families out too. We don't just want all the veterans. We want the families to thank our veterans every day and be there. So we're excited about that as well. I could talk all day long, so you might want to stop me.
We know that. We know that, Christine. So May 11th, I'm sorry, what time are you doing this? And is it at the chapel at the Navy Yard?
It is at the chapel at the Navy Yard, 1201 Constitution Avenue, and it starts at 9:30. We will break for lunch probably between 11:45 to 12 o'clock, and we will come back about 1 o'clock and continue to about 4:30.
Okay, thank you.
Just had a question for yourself and Mr. Murphy. I apologize. You both spoke of the haircut, so we are considering our women veterans would be there as well. It'd be, okay.
Yes, we have reached out to a couple of the women's services organizations, well, I have as well, right now to say we want everybody to be dealt with, especially, our veterans aren't just our seasoned veterans. So we have our younger ones that are coming out too at 20 and 21 years old when they first got out of high school. So we want to make sure that all of the vendors at the VSO section of the festival are accommodated. Everyone is there. And we also want to bring the kids in because, you know, getting somebody out of the house, you have the little ones. So we want to make sure we have activities for them as well.
Any questions? Christine, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate all you do.
We try every day. But thank you. The same with all of you.
If you don't mind, Anthony, what I would like to do, I'm not calling you back up, what I would like to do is I'd like to extend an invitation to you to come back in September for our September quarterly meeting.
Okay.
And tell us where the parade is at that point, okay?
Sounds good.
I'd appreciate it, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Our next scheduled speaker called just before the meeting and said he's stuck in traffic and can't make it, so he'll just, instead of getting here late, he'll just show up to our next meeting. Mr. Ed McAvoy, he sends his apologies, he couldn't make it. We have a person in the audience by the name of Kathy Santos that had asked to speak. She's the Veteran Committee Chair for the NAACP. So Kathy, please come forward. Hello.
Good afternoon.
Welcome.
Good afternoon. My name is Kathy Santos. I'm representing today as the chair to the NAACP Philadelphia Chapter Veterans Committee. My kind of history goes beyond some of your presence here. I've been coming before this council probably for a few years here, and I'm just delighted of the progress that we are making, and particularly in the recent years and months with the reorganization and certainly the placement for many of the voids that are here now that was absent in years past. I would like to particularly address some of the historical data. I think that's important for understanding where we are transitioning in Philadelphia County. I think that my conversation has been consistently about Philadelphia County and my transition from the military. I'm probably the only woman that I am aware in the country who was sexually assaulted in the military and won with the Pentagon investigation on active duty. Long time ago in the 90s, where my congressional testimony has been somewhat documented, but is not reflective through some of the successes of today, some 25 years later. And I would like to try to see where, in the role of the NAACP Veterans Committee Chair, we can fill some of the gaps in services that are culturally missing in Philadelphia County, where there's 60,000 registered veterans. And what my role has been throughout the United States and going before the various congressional and Senate committees and present where I have my office is to communicate some of those various gaps where the cultural disconnects exist. In Philadelphia, I think what is occurring here with your reference to Levittown, I think Philadelphia County may be the missing piece in identifying the county demographics in that description of what is occurring here in those boundaries. Additionally, I think that with regards to my connected information about the veteran-specific responses to services with regards to healthcare and other transitioning issues, I'm not sure if I'm hearing that here at this commission, but I think that's relative to the quality of life for the veteran themselves. I've been challenged with healthcare, homelessness, and all those very other dynamics that kind of take away from the quality of life that I think this commission could be a very, very valuable component for realizing some of those important components that cause the homelessness and help in that area. I do appreciate the idea of parades and festivals, but I'm not sure how that reflects on the quality of life for the veteran. With that being said, yes, sir.
Can I address that for you?
Yes, sir.
The reason why we do things like the vet.
I'm not, can I just finish my statement, please?
But we do it also to draw the vets in. That's why we have resource at the parade and at this Vest Fest. So when we get some veterans in there, we want to try to grab them and help them. That's absolutely one of the things we try to do with the flag waving in the parade. So I'm sorry, I just wanted to let you know what our perspective is. That's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, I understand the dynamics of the parades. I recall being a part of the conversation before they were actually established. But in the 25 years of my transition, I do know there are other dimensions to the veterans' assistance. There are many of us who are already addressing some of the issues, but I'm not sure if they're responded to in that direct response, if you understand what I'm saying. I do think it's important that the parades and the various gatherings that draw the veterans important, but I also would like to see another dimension of support for those of us who particularly live in the city of Philadelphia, in Philadelphia County. Those resources being more accessible and more readily available. And I think that's kind of what I'm talking about. The Veterans Integrated Service Network is a component of the structure in Pennsylvania, where I actually am on those calls every month. I don't know who all participates in those calls, but I'm actually very, very actively involved in Philadelphia support systems that are external to the county of Philadelphia. I held the role of the DAV state chair for the Women Veterans Committee just a couple of years ago, and I do know that there may be some conversations that we could have a direct conversation about some of those gaps in services, and this is the kind of opportunity where we can kind of draw it in just a little bit. We have, I think, those components that we can really make that impact today. You see what I'm saying? We've come a very long way since I first came to this council and talked about some of the other experiences that I actually personally experienced as a veteran. So we talk about the veteran themselves. So as a veteran, at present, my role also includes a very academic position as an academic scholar in a PhD focused agenda for military, family, and cultures. So this university agenda has a well-rounded approach to understanding the many dynamics and dimensions of the quality of life. So whether it's all-inclusive with the parades and the other components, it's all relative, I think, to where we need to go. And I think it's important to know that we are doing that here today. It's all happening, and I'm just very, very grateful that we have the kind of intellectual leadership, I think, that we recognize can process some of these complexities. And I think that the council president has given us somewhat an opportunity as veterans. I am a veteran myself, and I'm very proud that Philadelphia has taken on a very big agenda today. It's very huge, and I think that it's going to get bigger as we continue to draw those, Judge Dugan. As we continue to draw those in, we want to make sure that there's no one left behind. One of the things that I think is also important is that because I'm a resident here in Philadelphia and I do understand many of the underlying cultural dimensions, that culturally, with regards to many of the organizations that you do name, there are some other organizations that I'd like to see included in this conversation that have a more culturally connected presence here in the city of Philadelphia, where there's a reported, 80,000 veterans. So we would like to have a well-rounded conversation as to who's representing in those organizations. And finally, with regard to the funding, which is another part of the conversation, there is about $30 million where I believe many of these various organizations can be involved in so much work. I think that we are all valuable to the conversation, Judge Dugan. I don't think it's just about parades, but it's about everything that we as innovators I may refer to myself as a nonprofit founder, leader. With the NAACP, I know I represent several thousand African Americans or minorities that really do need to have some of the issues that are culturally distinct to their population addressed in this conversation. We don't want to leave anyone behind. So I would like to encourage a broader understanding of a cultural and diverse need for services that may be just specific to Philadelphia County. If I can just open your ears to a little bit more of that in the future discussions as we work in those academic communities, addressing that at a different kind of level where the conversation actually is reflective of what Washington, D. is saying. We have to be intellectually astute to not only understand it, but to articulate the realities of what's going on. So I think I've taken on that role. I've been extremely interested in hearing about today, and I'm just very grateful for the opportunity to share, and I'm very, very proud of each of you for the contribution that you're making towards our care, because I am a veteran. I've been out of transitioning for a few years here in Philadelphia, and I do know that we've come a long way, and I'm very proud of where we are today in this conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Questions?
Are there any questions? Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you.
For your insight. I'm told there's one more person that would like to speak today. What's his name?
Rodney.
Rodney? Rodney, if the mic is on, please give us your full name and your organization or the reason you're here.
Yes, sir. My name is Rodney Carnell Bradley. I am a 8-year veteran of the United States Air Force. I was a chem warfare expert in the United States Air Force for that time. If you could just give me 1 second, sir. I just wanted to get my phone together. Just give me 1 second. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, we need to.
I understand, sir. I understand, sir. I want to thank this panel, this esteemed panel, for allowing me to speak today. I came to this commission, sir, for help and assistance and guidance. My name is Rodney C. Bradley, like I said, veteran United States Air Force. I would like to say that what I'm about to say today in no way, shape, or form affects is directed towards Mayor Kinney. He is one of the greatest men I've ever known, and I am honored to have met him and just been, a part of, just knowing and meeting him. But what I'm pointing out is the racial hypocrisy in some of the city's departments. I am a father, a son of a fallen police officer, Artemis Johnson, a voter, a taxpayer, and a long-life Philadelphian. And I am brother to all vets who have served this country, no matter what branch of service. I come to you, my brothers and sisters in arms, to share with you a very disturbing matter that involves me. I'm currently employed by the City of Philadelphia Police Department as a forensic science technician, hired to work in the chem lab as an assistant to other forensic science technicians. But due to constant racial discrimination and blatant disrespect, I am forced to endure racial bias due to inactivity of those in higher positions that could do the right thing but choose not to. They seem to let the guilty ones stay, and yet the ones that stand up be punished. Excuse me, sir. The harassment and exile that I face because I am innocent of those things that they claim that I was, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm getting ahead of myself, sir, excuse me. Okay. I stand before you because, sir, I choose. I choose to not let anyone, no matter their position or job title, violate my civil rights. I stand here because, sir, in internal affairs, 2 detectives came to my workplace at 8th and Popular, and confiscated my cell phone with a thrown together seizure warrant and a trumped up charge of wiretapping. After I sent the mayor an email informing him of what I've been going through at my job that I've been at for over 2 years. And that is in this packet, sir, that I am giving to this panel.
Rodney.
Yes, sir.
May I remind you, you have about 2 minutes, could you?
Well, sir, okay, well, what I'm saying, sir, is that I just want to state that the racial discrimination that I'm going through at this job, I am the only black man that is a scientist at this job, and yet I am being totally, I was being harassed, and I am being segregated. And I was threatened. Two internal affairs officers came to my job, confiscated my phone, and I'm now under investigation for wiretapping. I was threatened, embarrassed, and one of the officers threatened he assaulted me at my job and told me one way or another he's going to get my phone. And when he attempted to grab the phone out of my hand, I snatched my hand away, and what he did was he gestured towards his gun. The reason why I am telling you this, sir, is because I need this to stop. All I want to do is come here and just work and be a Philadelphian, and I'm not allowed to do that. I understand, sir, my time is limited. You know, other people got to speak. I understand that, sir. But the fact of the matter is I did have some points that I needed to get across, and I am still currently at work. So when I leave
Excuse
here,
me,
I have to go
Randy,
back
don't you think
downstairs.
that perhaps you should be addressing this to the district attorney's office or the EOC complaint?
Well, sir, that's why I'm here talking to you. This is a 2-year investigation. In this packet that I'm giving you is, and one of your panel can accede to this, already from the EEOC and the Mayor's Commission is already involved, sir. I just need guidance and help from this panel as a veteran to get this to stop.
Hey, Ron, hey, thank you for letting me know about that. I know we met
Right.
prior.
Right.
What I recommend, I know, you know, you're a U.S. Air Force veteran, that's why we wanted to give you the time.
Right.
I'm not shutting you down. If you want to afterwards, meet me offline. We can come up with strategy. We'll give you resources, whatever's available, if that's okay with you. Would that be okay?
All right, but I just wanted to be noted that this panel is for this right here is for this panel to look over, and I will give you my number, so just help me get this under control, because at this point now, I'm fearing for my life. When they took my phone, they took my entire life with it, all of my financial information. I'm begging you to please help me. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, that's it. We're right at 4 o'clock. Yeah, I'll leave it here for Carlos. I'd like to thank everyone for coming today, sharing with us what your organizations do and how you're assisting the veterans here in Philadelphia. I'd like to remind everyone that our next quarterly meeting is next month, June 20th. They seem to be back to back because this was a rescheduled catch-up meeting. So next month, the 20th at 2 o'clock, right? Yep. 2 o'clock. Again, thank you everyone for coming. Thank you.